Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Rockies Daily. I'm your host, Scott Ayers, where we are talking all things Colorado Rockies. And folks, the Rockies stink. At first, let me wish you a happy Memorial Day. I have that written down in my notes. Wishing the fine people that watch this show or listen to it, whatever you might do, happy Memorial Day. I hope you had a great Memorial weekend. But I have breaking news. The Colorado Rockies are dog water. They stink. They are not good at baseball. And if you believe that they're a fun, bad team, you can still believe that. I think I'm still going to hold on to that belief. But they are bad. This team just absolutely reeks. Stinky, no good, you name it. They lose to the Diamondbacks 9-1. They now improve. Improve is not the right word, but you get where this is going. They now improved to 6-16 in the month of May. Against the Diamondbacks, 2-5, really nice stuff. But if you look at their overall schedule, and in this game against the Diamondbacks, really quick, it's not going to be mainly focused on the Diamondbacks, really just on the month of May as a whole. We've talked about this month. We've talked about the issues that the Rockies have had, and it's just has exploded in their face in terms of everything is bad. But in this game against the Diamondbacks, it kind of summarizes it. Starting pitching, not great. Quintana does leave, though, with what we believe is an elbow injury. He's going to get an MRI in Denver. But in this series against the Diamondbacks, 18 innings pitched, 6.5 ERA from those starting pitchers. So really nice stuff there. That'll get you really jazzed to hear about this rotation. But it's beyond that. Just the Rockies stranding runners left and right. This team went 8 games straight without hitting a home run. And we've talked about so many videos, but how often do you see this team is able to actually get the bases loaded? They're able to get runners in scoring position. And yet they are incapable of driving in runs. It takes getting hit by a pitch for them to be able to drive in a run when the bases are loaded. They have a better chance of getting hit by a pitch than they are of having some sort of productive at-bat. And it's the top of the order guys that are struggling, right? Like Mickey Moniak has slumped in the month of May. He's batting about .230. Hunter Goodman has 2 home runs this month. His strikeout percentage still at 30%. And this is Hunter Goodman, who's coming off an all-star year that you really felt like he could build off of it. And the guy's just swinging his bat like he's a samurai trying to cut apples. Someone's tossing the air. He's a mess. We've talked about some of this before, but it's crazy to me that this team just they just have an inability to drive in runs. And that leads me to the next thing, where if you look at their losses, they have 16 losses this month. And you could say 7 are probably just full-blown blowouts, right? They didn't have a chance, got the wheels just broken off of them, and they're losing get those games like 8-1, 9-1, 10-0, you name it. Then you have about 7 or so games where they lost by 1 or 2 runs. So I list them as close games. Now, some of these games, right, they might have scored a run or 2 in the 9th. But overall, even if it's 4 or 5 games where they are listed as close games, those games really are attributed to the lack of hitting, right, where the Rockies had an opportunity to put a team away, and the lack of just the bullpen being able to get it done. So it's somehow this combined effort from everyone involved, right? 16 losses, let's say 7 blowouts, 5 close, and then a handful of games where, you lose and you don't really have a chance of winning, but you weren't getting the brakes beaten off of you. But still, I mean, it is impressive that it is all facets of the game where the Rockies have fallen short. And it's crazy. It's crazy that, the season started off to a point where it was like, hey, we know this team isn't going to be great, but they are showing improvement from 2025. And right now, the month of May feels like the 2025 Colorado Rockies. And the month is going to end in a very difficult fashion, facing some division foes. So we'll see how they can hopefully turn some things around. And granted, some of it is the injuries that they have faced, especially the starting rotation, which we'll talk about in a little. But yeah, just a disaster of a month. And, look, Friday's show, we had the ability to talk about Charlie Blackmon, right? Because, hey, here's some good news. And then you just get absolutely hit by a semi for this series against the Diamondbacks, where just not a lot of things going right. Tough series against the Diamondbacks. And look, not really a great transition here, but there has been some positive spots again in the month of May. And I think if we wanted to, we could probably talk about TJ Rumfield and Troy Johnson every single episode. They've been great. The trade to get TJ Rumfield has been superb. Yeah, Rumfield's been the best offensive player next to Troy Johnson, I would argue, so far this year. And you can put Mickey Moniak in that category. Moniak's just had a really tough May, but he still provided some power, with 4 home runs this month. But let's talk about Jake McCarthy. Let's talk about the guy who was a former Snake, used to play for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And in the month of May, he's been pretty darn good. Batting .274, a .468 slugging, .771 OPS. I'm not really quite sure what more you would want from Jake McCarthy. He's one of the fastest players in baseball. He's got the second best strikeout percentage behind TJ Rumfield, right? Which is important because this is a lineup that just loves striking out. They swing with their eyes closed half the time. But McCarthy and Rumfield have done a very good job of preventing those strikeouts. Also in the month of May, he's been just flat out good. He's got 2 home runs, 2 triples, 2 doubles, 12 RBIs. He does not have a ton of power, but he has great speed. He gets on base, and that should be a winning formula. But obviously, we've mentioned that the Rockies lineup as a whole hasn't been awesome. But McCarthy has been so solid, and you just tip your cap to a front office that made a couple of moves. They got McCarthy for cheap. They got TJ Rumfield for cheap, and ultimately, those moves will hopefully pay off in the long term. We'll see. But even just for this season alone, that has to give you some confidence that they're able to identify talent. When a lot of teams just see it as scraps, they take a chance on Rumfield. They take a chance on McCarthy. And McCarthy's has been really fun to have on this team, especially in a month where there hasn't been a lot of fun. McCarthy has provided just a serious edge, if you can call it that. But he's been good, and it's definitely worth noting because it can be really easy for us to just talk about how everything stinks. And if that is kind of the approach you want to take, I say have at it. But not everyone on this team is awful. There are some serious bright spots, and Jake McCarthy is one of them, which I did not anticipate. I was pretty worried about what Jake McCarthy we were going to get. He started off the year just his first series or two this year were bad, and he was pretty good in April, and he's been pretty darn good in May, and so Jake McCarthy does deserve that recognition. Super curious what he looks like in their long-term plan. Does he fall into, a piece that you build with? Does he fall into a piece that you try to trade at the deadline to get more assets? I'm not quite sure. I think, obviously, it's just nice to have some fun players. Like, I'd love to see him stay for a year or two. But if you can get something at the deadline, you at least consider it. But it's not worth talking about now. Let's just talk about, hey, Jake McCarthy, you get a Rockies Daily round of applause. Great job on a month where the Rockies were 6-16 so far, but you, my friend, have been pretty darn good. Let's talk about something that has been the opposite of good, bad. We started the show with a bunch of different ways of saying bad, so I don't need to do that again. Starting rotation for the Colorado Rockies. PU, I mean, they just genuinely stink. They stink, man. Um, and it is tough though because there's been a lot of injuries, right? Like Tomoyuki Sugano has been probably the most like solid starter, just because he's kind of endured. He's had maybe one or two bad outings, but has been pretty darn solid all year. But then you can't really say much after that. Not including Chase Dollander. He's just been like the weird bullpen guy. Hey, we're gonna have a reliever start, and then you give us 6. Chase Dollander's been good, so let that be clear. Chase Dollander's been good, but he's been hurt. Jose Quintana just got hurt. Ryan Feltner got hurt. Then you've got Kyle Freeland, who got hurt, came back, and has been Admiral Booty since he's returned. I mean, he has been terrible, over 7 ERA, but he has somehow not been the worst because Michael Lorenzen, which, he came in, Michael Lorenzen, he's got this, look, he's got these tools. He fits Alan Likman's mold, 6 different pitches. Look, he can throw upside down. He can throw it with his eyes closed. Look, he's in the crab pose and he's pitching. I mean, that's how we were kind of talking about Michael Lorenzen. He has the worst ERA of any qualified starter. Just marinating that, sitting it. And there were obviously concerns for him coming in, an older starter. We'll see. But look, he can do the crab pitch. He's on his all fours doing a crab pitch. That's pretty nice. But it doesn't matter. He stinks. He stinks. And maybe he'll get better. And maybe it's just some early May jitters and he's got to get into form. I don't know. But he's been bad. And the rotation has been hurt. Ryan Feltner did pitch in Albuquerque on Sunday. So maybe he comes back. And you're probably thinking, well, he's kind of stunk too. It's another body, which the Rockies desperately need because of just these injuries that they've been facing. Tanner Gordon is set to pitch against the Dodgers. I'm stuttering because I'm just terrified of what that could look like. But look, Tanner Gordon could also give us a solid start. We'll see. Regardless, the Rockies, man, they are just in desperate need for some starting pitching. And that's always been the battle. That will always be the battle at Coors Field. Can you get a solid enough rotation with a strong enough lineup to be competitive and to play for October? And we've seen it. We've seen it a couple of times, right? 2018, 2007. But this rotation is not that. They should probably be flipping burgers, most of them, and serving them in the concession stands. That's probably where they deserve to be. But they're not. They're starting for the Colorado Rockies, and I'm happy for them because their paycheck looks a little bit bigger than mine. But alas, this starting rotation, I think it's just frustrating because there was some hope, and you hope that this front office is at least figuring out, right? They're crunching numbers behind the scenes. Yeah, hey, this might work. We have something here, and I think they're probably getting more of that out of the bullpen and the guys in the bullpen. They're looking at someone like Antonio Senzatella, who struggled as a starter and is now one of the best relievers in baseball. They're probably getting more from that than they are from Michael Lorenzen pitching underhand and just creating like a home run derby in whatever ballpark he's pitching in. So that's obviously overwhelmingly negative. I recognize that, but it's hard to be positive about this rotation when they've dealt with a lot of injuries, right? Like Chase Dollander's probably been the most promising guy, most promising starter that we've seen since a young Kyle Freeland, and maybe beyond that, right? I think Chase Dollander has an opportunity to be the best Rockies pitcher ever, but then he gets hurt, and then we've seen whatever the heck we've been watching from the starting rotation since. So definitely discouraging from the rotation, and I think, unfortunately, the 2025 season we'll see just more of that. And you hope Quintana is okay. Obviously, Ziyara gets inflated, but if he can come back and be solid, he can still be an asset at the deadline. Sugano needs to be an asset at the deadline if he can continue to pitch well. And And for Kyle Freeland, you hope he's healthy and he can see out his career in Colorado. For Michael Lorenzen, God help his soul. May he remember how to pitch again in a Rockies uniform. Because the Colorado Rockies, look, they're having a disaster of a month, but look, there's this giant Death Star looming overhead, and that is the LA Dodgers, who, you might not remember, but they've just won a couple World Series. They're third in runs scored. And the Rockies heading into town, which they are facing the back end of the rotation on Monday and Tuesday. Emmett Sheehan, Eric Lauer, they aren't dominant starting pitchers by any means. This Rockies lineup should have an opportunity to score runs today and Tuesday. But then it's Shohei. It's showtime on Wednesday. TBD for who's starting for the Rockies. Maybe it's Feltner. I feel like because he pitched on Sunday, though, there is a chance that it won't be until a little bit later. It could be a bullpen game. Maybe Zach Agnos throws his hat into the ring once again. All I know is it could be a long 3-game series against the Dodgers. But you hope they can take advantage of one of these two starts against the back end of the rotation. Tanner Gordon starts today. Kyle Freeland on Tuesday. And maybe we get Agnos on Wednesday. Who's to say? But until then, that does it for another Rockies Daily. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day. And I will see you tomorrow.